Know what I'm talking about? Hold up. Whoa.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Garrin every single Wednesday. We're coming out with brand new sales trainings on how we're able to become a more well-rounded sales professional and how you can start dominating the virtual world. This series is geared towards you, the viewer, answering any questions you may have in order to increase your professionalism online. Today, I want to talk about the backdrop. How are we supposed to establish our backdrop? What should we be putting into our backdrop to ensure we're looking professional and not causing too much distraction? If you don't have the ability to establish a backdrop, that is okay. There's opportunities to implement a green screen that can still give you that professionalism you're looking for, but that's for another video. Today, we're talking about how we're able to establish our backdrop to not only express our personality, but invite our viewers into our home to make them feel comfortable. But we can't do it here. You know where we gotta go. Let's head to the Coach's Corner and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's go. All right, I absolutely love working with my clients and helping them establish their backdrop. This is the virtual world, ladies and gentlemen. We are inviting you into our homes. What better way to explain to your viewers, to your potential clients, to your prospects, a little bit about yourself? In sales, people want to buy off of people they can relate with. This is why I tell everybody, if you do not have the ability or the option to have an established backdrop, you need to invest in a green screen. There's nothing worse than rolling up to a virtual presentation, a virtual meeting with a blank backdrop. How can I relate with you? How can I relate with you if I have nothing to go off of? The backdrop is an opportunity for you as an individual to express who you are. Let the consumers and let them know what you like, what is your style like, to allow them to instantly relate with you without you having to go into great detail on all of these items. But there is a few things that is extremely important when you're setting up your backdrop to be mindful of. The very first one is make sure you're picking and you're choosing tasteful items and objects. I say this because I ran into this situation where I had an object in my backdrop that meant something to me. But the joys of the virtual world is we can connect and work with anybody in the world. So is that item that you're picking and you want to showcase, what does that message say? And now look at that message and say, if I was to go onto a different part of the world or a different region in the country, is that object going to say the exact same message? Or is it going to say something completely different? And you're going to find yourself having to backpedal, explain the situation, and we don't want the backdrop to take away from you. We're here to see you, but what's important and how I can relate to you is the items on your backdrop. So be mindful of the objects you're picking and make sure that they're overall tasteful. A great example that I ran into, I sat down with a sales professional and he had all of his yearly goals on his backdrop. Listen, I love yearly goals and I love writing goals down, but having it in your backdrop is not the place. Having a big poster board that says big targets to close for 2021 along with a list of companies is not a good thing to do. Second thing, reflection. We need to be mindful of reflection. A great opportunity for a backdrop is to showcase trophies, awards, maybe even picture frames of your family or different items. Picture frames give off a reflection. Trophies and awards and shiny objects, they give off a reflection. Having a reflection in your backdrop not only causes confusion, it can be distracting for the viewer, and it can also cause more harm. If you have something that's reflective, it could be irritating to the eyes, which allows the individual to disengage from the meeting completely. I ran into a situation where I was going over a presentation and I was teaching a group of individuals, and this specific individual had a giant picture frame in the backdrop, and the reflection of the picture frame showed. what they were doing on their computer screen. And I promise you they weren't paying attention to me. So there's things like that that you need to be mindful of. It's the second item. Third thing, keep it simple. I ran into this situation where I had too many things on my backdrop, too much stuff going on. It causes distraction. It has too many things going on in the backdrop. Make it simple, a couple items, which is what's gonna go into our next point. What I like to talk about is the icebreaker piece or the conversation piece. And I strategically set my desk up in my office this way so I could have an isolation piece or an icebreaker piece. This is one item that explains who you are to a T, your hobbies, your interests, what you're passionate about, something. So if the viewer asks about it, you can go on and on and on and on and on about it. This eliminates the awkwardness of virtual calls. You ever get, hey, so how's the weather up there? Oh, I don't know, it's December and I'm up in Canada. It's cold, right? Getting rid of awkward filler conversations like that to where now they can focus on the isolation piece or the conversation piece, and they could say, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. Tell me a little bit more about that. And it gives you an opportunity to go into storytelling. That's a buzzword we talk about in the virtual world on social media, storytelling. So I want to give you an example of what my isolation piece and my conversation piece and how you can incorporate that into your backdrop. We can't do it here. As much as I love the Coach's Corner, let's head to the desk. I'll give you an example of what I do. Let's head there. All right, welcome back to the desk. And this backdrop you see right now is my original backdrop when I first entered into the virtual world. I strategically placed the shelving to give me an opportunity to place these isolation items or these conversations, the ice-breaking piece, so that when things get awkward, you're giving your viewer an opportunity to start the conversation. So, when looking at this backdrop, there's a couple options here, but which item do you think that I get asked the most about? I know, there's a few options, there is, but what's the main one? Yeah, it's the basketball. I get that question all the time, and I love it. It's a topic that I can talk on and on and on and on about. How often are we in virtual sales meetings where they say, okay, everyone, we're gonna give it 5 more minutes just to let people roll in. And then we sit there awkwardly. And that's where the conversations of, hey, what's the weather like there? Or this and that. And just conversations that are filler conversations. They're not genuine and they don't really allow people to relate with them. Right? How often are we in virtual presentations where, say, we're waiting for another decision maker or another stakeholder and it's just one-on-one rather than a group setting? This is a great opportunity to say, hey, Garrin, like, what is that basketball in the back? Oh, that? And yada, yada, yada. And I get to go into why I love the basketball and what the basketball means and who signed the basketball and all these different topics. And 9 times out of 10, even if you're not a sports fan, within the story and my explanation is going to spark another conversation piece for them. And now we can fill off of that, right? It's a conversation starter. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. This is Coach's Corner. Remember, when working on your backdrop, be tasteful of the items you're taking. Does the message you're trying to relay give the same message to your viewer that might be on the other side of the world or a different region of the country? Steer away from anything reflective that's going to cause distraction, cause the viewer to have issues with the visual, allowing them to just completely disconnect and disengage from you. When we're here to see you, the backdrop is good, but we need to focus on you. And remember, in your backdrop, have your conversation starter, your isolation piece, your icebreaker. For me, it's the basketball. What is it for you? I appreciate taking time to watch Coach's Corner. My name is Garrin Bellany. I hope you have yourself a good day. Peace.